Hi everybody, it's Kyle. I'll never forget the day that we started to realize as a family that we were really kind of starting to thrive, and that we needed to start sharing information with other families. My wife likes to have twice a year or so a girls' night in, where she invites all her friends over, and my job when that happens is to take the kids and leave for 3 or 4 hours and just give her time to reconnect with her friends. And by the way, men, if you have an opportunity to do that, do it. It's huge for your wives, goes a long way, it really helps them. But that's what she decided to do, to have a girls' night in. And so my twins at the time were 2, and my 2 boys on the spectrum were 8 and 11, and my 2 oldest typical boys were 14 and 17. And generally, I will take my 14 and 17-year-olds with me wherever we go, because they help out, because my 2 boys on the spectrum at the time, the 8 and 11-year-olds, were runners. And you know what I'm talking about. But they weren't available this time. My 14 and 17-year-olds weren't available to go on this with us. They had made other plans, and certainly we wanted to let them do that as well. So I decided to take them to the Burger King Playland, because it's a confined area where I could keep an eye on them, and it's kind of small enough where they couldn't get out of my sight. And I thought that would be a good thing to do and safe. So it's Friday night. We show up at the Burger King Playland on Chinden and Eagle in Boise. And when we get there, it's Friday night and it's packed. You know what I'm talking about. And so we squeeze in the corner booth, and the only one left. And I give my twins, my 2-year-old twins, hugs and tell them to go play. And I grab Eric and Ricky and say, because they're getting a little bigger, 8 and 11, kind of big for the playground. I say, be careful and don't hurt little kids. And I said, go have fun. And I gave them kisses and hugs and sent them on their way. Well, I'm telling you, within 5 minutes, I hear this loud screeching sound, and the back door alarm had been pressed. And I knew right away it was one of my boys. And sure enough, as all the kids ran to their parents scared, and my kids came running to me with their hands over their ears, all the other kids were pointing at Eric, who was my 11-year-old, and said, he did it, he did it. And Eric came running over to me kind of with tears in his eyes, because he didn't know what was going on. And I said, did you press the bar? And he said, bar? And he really didn't understand, so I gave him a big old hug, and I said, it's okay, go have fun, okay? Don't touch that, but have fun. Go have fun and have a good time. And I gave him a big kiss and a smile, and I sent him on his way. And I could see the parents starting to kind of peer at me a little bit, a little judgmental. What's this kid doing, right? Because kids don't look autistic, right? So I watched Eric, and he wasn't even near the back door, and I heard it go off again. The alarm went off again, and this time it was Ricky, my 8-year-old. So all the kids run to their parents, and now the parents are really starting to glare. And Ricky comes over to me, and I said, did you press the bar? And he said, bar. And I knew there was a disconnect there too. So I gave him a big hug and a kiss, and I said, go have fun, okay? And I sent him on his way. And I'm not kidding you, in the next 10 minutes, 15 minutes, they set that alarm off another 6 times. So 8 total times. And the people in that playground were getting pretty agitated with me. I could tell, because I wasn't screaming and yelling at my kids. I was hugging them and kissing them and asking them nicely not to do it. But I knew they weren't hurting anybody. It was, as soon as that door would shut and somebody would come out, they'd reset the alarm, no big deal. It wasn't really hurting anybody. But what I did notice is people started to leave. Because I guess setting off an alarm over and over and over will get other people to leave because they're unhappy. And they were staring at me as they left, and I was getting these dirty looks, and I didn't really care, right? My kids were having a great time. They were having so much fun playing at that playground. Well, as would happen, next thing you know, there's just us, me and my 4 kids, and one other couple with 2 boys. Looked to be about the same age as Eric and Ricky. And everybody else had left. And the guy stands up and walks over towards me, and I'm thinking, and he's a big dude. And I'm thinking, well, here we go, right? This is where it's about to get interesting. Because he's going to say something to me, and I really don't know how I'm going to react. And he said to me something I'll never forget. He said, excuse me. And I said, yeah. With a little bit of attitude, right? He said, do your 2 boys, do they have special needs? And it kind of shocked me. And I think I kind of came down a little bit, and I said, well, as a matter of fact, they're both on the autism spectrum. And he said, I'll never forget, I can picture him in my brain right now. He kind of leaned in toward me and he said, that was awesome. And he was just grinning from ear to ear. And I said, what? He said, you know what? I watched you. You didn't care what those other parents thought. They were staring at you hatefully and you ignored them. You were giving your boys love and hugging them and kissing them and telling them to have fun. And I watched. And he said, could you do me a favor? And I said, yeah, sure, whatever you like. He said, my sister has a son on the spectrum and she won't take him anywhere because of this kind of stuff and how people judge her and stare. Would you call her and tell her what you do? And I took his number, and I realized on my drive home that night, and then after talking to her and sharing with her the steps I take, mental steps and physical steps I take to make sure that my kids know that I love them, and that's more important than what other people think. And I remember talking to her, and she said, you know what, I can do this. And I said, that's right, you can. And I remember my wife was listening in, and she said, oh my gosh, this is the kind of stuff other parents need, I guess. And that was the day that we really started to realize how we had figured a few things out and made some discoveries that allowed us to really put ourselves in a position where we could thrive even when the craziness happened. And so I want to share, there's 3 specific discoveries we made that I'll be sharing this Wednesday at 6 o'clock Mountain Time on a free webinar on our Facebook page. Please join us. I want to share those with you, and I want you to maybe plug into those things and start to use them in your life. If you can't take your kids places, or you feel like you're being judged, or there's just too much stress in your home, we want to show you what we did to battle that stress and defeat it and bring back the happiness and the joy that was missing from our lives when we were fighting that stress so hard. You don't have to live with that stress. We want happiness for you like we have. Join us Wednesday at 6 o'clock Mountain Time on this page, Autism Laughter Therapy. We'll share with you our 3 discoveries, and we'll leave it up through the weekend. I usually get quite a few calls after I do these kind of things, so I'll leave it up for a few days, and check us out. We can't wait to see you start thriving like we are. Have a great day. We'll see you on Wednesday. Bye-bye.